qualified individuals, and they were easily and identifiably English. Auden, in contrast, was an eccentric, remote, supranational sort of a figure, a poet celebrity, English-born but now a self-proclaimed New Yorker who had developed a strange, drawling mid-Atlantic accent, recently further complicated after he'd had his few final teeth removed and been fitted with dentures, and who made a living on the circuit, touring American campuses, delivering his lectures and reading his poems. He saw himself as a kind of itinerant preacher. An airborne instrument I sit, predestined nightly to fulfil Columbia Geeson Management's unfathomable will, by whose election justified I bring my gospel of the muse to fundamentalists, to nuns, to Gentiles, and to Jews. Auden on the circuit. Auden's usual touring schedule did not include the English Midlands. The closest he came was spending his summers in bohemian fashion on the Italian island of Ischia with his lover, Chester Cowman. They engaged a handsome local boy known as Giocondo, notes one biographer, to look after the house and possibly also to provide sexual services. Though popular among undergraduates, who weren't entitled to vote, Auden was not considered a serious candidate for the professorship by the more senior members of the university. There was also the small matter of his having abandoned England in 1939 and having taken the oath of allegiance and become an American citizen in 1946, something he was never allowed to forget and for which he was certainly never forgiven. On learning of Auden's death in 1973, the novelist Anthony Powell was rendered almost speechless with joy and disgust, declaring, "I'm delighted that shit has gone. It should have happened years ago, scuttling off to America in 1939 with his boyfriend like a... In 1956, memories of the war were still fresh. G. Wilson Knight had served as a dispatch rider in World War I, and in World War II, Nicholson had been parliamentary secretary at the Ministry of Information. Auden's war record was rather less distinguished. When he had left England in 1939, questions were asked in Parliament about his departure. He was a disappointment to the nation. When he arrived back in London at the end of the war, wearing his honorary US Army Major's uniform as part of his role in the US Strategic Bombing Survey, people were appalled. But if England wasn't too sure about Auden, Auden wasn't at all sure he wanted to spend too much time in England delivering the one lecture per term required by the university statutes. The winter months, he wrote to Enid Starkey, the flamboyant, publicity-seeking, cigar-smoking Rambo scholar who had proposed him as a candidate, are those in which I earn enough dollars to allow me to devote myself to the unprofitable occupation of writing poetry. I do not see any way in which I could earn the equivalent if I had to reside in England during that period. Nonetheless, he allowed his nomination to go forward. On Thursday, the 9th of February 1956, the result was announced. Wilson Knight had attracted just 91 votes. Nicholson had secured 192, and Auden topped the poll with 216. He was therefore elected as professor.